Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Angling and Arrows. Today I'm going to be talking about starting problems with the Polaris Sportsman. Mine's a 2017, but I did a little bit of research online and this seems to be a common problem with a bunch of these years. As you heard mine trying to start, it just doesn't want to start very well. It did start there eventually, and when it's not terribly cold it will start a little better. If I was outside today it wouldn't start at all. So I started with the basic troubleshooting. I checked the ground connections to make sure they were clean. I checked the battery cables to make sure they were clean. And I also did a load test on the battery, and that all showed good. So what my research online showed me is that a lot of these Polaris Sportsmans came with two different battery options. The standard battery is the YB14A-2A, and that I discovered is a 190 cold cranking amp battery. They also had the option for a YTX14HX-BS. That battery is a 210 cranking amp battery. So I'm going to haul the battery out of this now and see if I upgrade it, or see if it's worth upgrading actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to haul it out. I'm going to run into a local ATV supplier here, Driven PowerSports, and I'm sure they're going to know a little bit more about the batteries than I do. So just bear with me here while I pop the battery out of my quad, and then I'll see you in their shop. One of the other things I'm going to note about this battery now that I'm here is that I'll call it the entry-level battery, the 190 cold cranking amp battery. That's actually a vented battery, so it has a vent hose on it you have to run up. The location of this battery is the lowest point on the frame of these bikes, and there's no doubt in my mind that that causes a problem with water getting into the battery unless your vent hose is attached perfectly, and I found it's pretty hard to do. I do believe in 2018, it might have been 2019, someone can correct me in the comments, but they actually changed the location of these batteries due to the issues they were having, and they put them in the front storage rack up here. In the future, if you want to subscribe to the channel, I may actually do a mod to this bike and move that battery up there. But for right now, I'm just going to reinstall or remove it and see if Driven PowerSports has any suggestions for me. It's a pretty simple procedure here to remove this battery. After you get the screws out of these batteries, it's a little easier to walk around to the right hand side of the bike just to lift it out through. There's a little more room there, so I'm going to do that. So the removal of that battery, it's just a couple of Phillips screws in there. It's pretty simple to get out. It's just a little bit tight down there, that's all. This is actually an aftermarket battery, but it's the exact same specs as the original factory battery. It's a 190 cold cranking amp 12 volt battery. So we're going to run it now and we're going to see what the professionals have to say about my issues. So the gentleman here at the counter in Driven PowerSports is telling me that the Polarises came with a 190 cranking amp battery with an optional 210. And from what I've researched online and talking to him, that's not quite big enough when the quads get old or in the cold. So they actually have a new one in stock here now. This is the part number right here. I'll put a link in the description for anybody who wants to look at it. But apparently this is a newer version, am I right?
It's new versions. The Max, it gives you an extra cold crank ramp, so your boost up to 240.
So by purchasing this battery, you're going from 190 cranking amps, cold cranking amps stock to 240. So I'm going to pick this up here now, and with a little bit of advice I got from him, I'm going to go home and install it in the quad, give it a try over the next few days, and I'll update you on whether or not this solves the problem I've got with my 2017 Polaris Sportsman 450 not starting in the cold. So as you just saw there in the clip before this, the manager there at PowerSports, he was extremely helpful. He said it's not an uncommon problem. When the quads are new, the weather's warm, battery's totally perfect, there's no issue with the 190 cranking amp battery starting. But there's also a reason that Polaris offered the option of the 210 cold cranking amp battery. And they offered it, so they obviously knew that there was going to be an issue down the road. But much to my surprise, I didn't know was available was the exact same physical size battery. They had one in stock, and it's actually, as you heard, 240 cold cranking amps. So I just decided that, you know what, I'm just going to go right ahead and upgrade it, and hopefully that'll solve the issues that I've been having here with our cold weather. But right away, opening up this battery, I just saw something that I don't think I've seen on an ATV battery before. I'm going to get behind the camera now and zoom in, and I'm going to show you a little annoyance of mine with ATV batteries. And I'm going to show you how I corrected it on this one, just in case anybody still has it. And the issue is that where the screws go into these batteries, it's not actually threaded. So you have to install a nut. I'll show you in a close-up now, but you have to install a nut inside. And when you're moving the battery around, they fall out, they get lost. It's just a huge pain in the butt. So the solution is I just slip a little piece of a spacer in between before I put the nut in place. That keeps it there. Ideally, if you use something that's waterproof, it'll stay there forever. I just use a piece of cardboard, and it actually still seems to last quite a long time because there's a cover that goes on the battery. So I'll zoom in now and show you what I'm talking about, and the upgrade that they have on this battery, which pleasantly surprises me, I gotta say. So this is the typical type of an ATV battery that you get, and what I'm talking about, I'll take out what I've actually already have in here. So the issue you have is when you're installing the screws that hold on your positive and negative battery cable, that screw has to go into this nut. And what happens is you put it in place here. There's two issues. If you just lay it there, it won't generally reach the nut to take once the battery cables are in place. And the other issue is that as you're moving the battery to put it in place, you have to twist it and turn it. So the nut falls out, and I find that it gets lost quite easily. I've lost several. I actually carry an extra one with me in my toolkit. So the solution that I've come up with is I just folded up a little piece of cardboard. Any kind of material will do. If it's waterproof, it's probably a little better, but I've never had any real issues with the cardboard. The battery actually has a cover on it. So I just put the cardboard in where the nut slides in and have it tight enough so that the nut is pinched to the top here where it goes in. And then I push the cardboard and the nut all the way in place. And before I get up underneath the quad, I'll make sure that I have this lined up, because sometimes you got to jiggle it a little bit. So now when you're installing the battery, that nut will stay in place. I've already done the same thing on the other side. It's just a little trick. But I'll move aside this battery that I'm replacing. This is the new one that I just picked up into Driven PowerSports. And I actually haven't seen it before, but the holes where your cables go are threaded. That's my old nut. I'm just going to use the new one so I don't screw it up. But the little kit here comes with a lock washer. It comes with a spacer should you happen to need it. I'm assuming that this is probably a spacer that would go in here if you had to use the nut. But they've solved that problem by threading the holes. So there's no need for that nut underneath. That's a huge, huge improvement to an ATV battery. And not only did they thread the top hole, but for certain applications where you may put your battery cables on the side, they've also threaded the side hole here as well. So I'm quite happy with that. That's a little bonus. So now I'm just going to take this battery now, I'm going to install it in the quad, and I'm going to try turning it over right away just to see what happens, even though he did tell me in the store that this is probably about 80% charged, and he recommended that to get the full charge, stick it on a trickle charger overnight and top it up. But if my math is right, 80% of 240 is still going to run me about 190 cranking amps, which would be the same as a fully charged battery here. And it's probably actually a little bit more because it's between 80 and 90%. So I'm going to see if just those 10 cranking amps alone makes a difference to the starting of this quad. And then we'll head outside tomorrow, and I'm going to try it out in the cold. So before I install the battery, I'm going to just mention to everyone watching that thanks for watching, first of all. I hope you're finding this video useful. And I am going to just throw it out there that I was looking at my channel analytics, and it seems that about 80% of my viewers, or mine and Devlin's viewers, are returning viewers who aren't subscribed to the channel, which I found very interesting. We're up around 9,000 subscribers now, thanks everybody. But if you're watching now and you're not subscribed, make sure that you do click that link there and turn on your notifications for some more content. Because in the near future, I am also going to do a little walkthrough of another problem that these Polaris Sportsmen had, and that was water entering the belt case. Causes your belt to slip, and a lot of people were saying that the seal on the case is not tight. They were taking them off and re-siliconing them, and that was solving some of the problems, but not totally. Well, I've got a theory, and I'm pretty sure it's right, as to what is causing the water to enter the belt cases on these and causing that slippage. So make sure that you're subscribed and turn on your notifications, and we'll get to that sometime in the near future. But for the time being, we're going to install that battery and try starting up this quad. So I actually just grabbed a pair of side cutters because the new battery is not vented, it's a sealed battery. So I'm just going to remove the vent hose from my battery. So for those of you who are not familiar with a vented battery, this is a tube that goes on the vent, and you have to keep it above the water level, because if you don't, water will get inside your battery. I have no idea why they would put a vented battery in this position on an ATV. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. But anyway, going forward, hopefully that's not going to be an issue. Not having to fool with that little nut, that's a game changer actually. If you ever have battery issues with your quad, and inevitably you will at some point, be it you leave your lights on or your battery wears out. Get those good and snug to make sure there's lots of contact. If you're worried about corrosion, a little bit of dielectric grease on these as well is not a bad idea. So I've got the battery installed now. The only thing I have left to do is it actually has this little protective cover and a plastic strap that holds it in place. Again, very poor design, but I will reinstall that after I confirm that it works. For now, I'm just going to give that a try now and see if it starts. It seemed to turn over a little bit quicker there for sure, but again, that's with what he's saying is an 80 to 90% charge in that battery. So I'm going to plug in a trickle charger now, and tomorrow when I head out ice fishing, it's supposed to be around -2, -1 Celsius. So if it works through it today there, we'll know we've got it fixed. Well, I'm back in the garage now. It's the next day. The quad sat here overnight. It's -4 degrees last night, between -2 and -4 Celsius. Prior to the new battery, my quad would never start even when the factory 190 cranking amp battery was fully charged. It still wouldn't start. So I got this new one in from PowerSports, and I'm going to give it a try here this morning and see how it sounds. Then we're going to head up on the pan for a little bit of ice fishing, and I'll do an update from there later on today as well. That's what I like to hear. It's the way it should start right away. So I did in fact actually go ice fishing, but I had a little issue with my camera. I didn't get the footage up on the pan of me starting the quad and stuff. But we got back. We had a great day up there. It was -4, -5 most of the day. That's Celsius. So it was well below zero. The quads were shut off for a couple of hours, 3 hours up there. Started them up with no problem at all. I'm back in the garage now, and it's actually the next day. And the quads are sitting out here again, and I guess you can see my breath in here, so you can tell how cold it is. I haven't had the quad going now for 24 hours. Previous to the new battery, it wouldn't start. As you can see, there's still no issue at all, so it certainly seems to have taken care of the problem. The 240 cold cranking amp battery did the trick. So thanks to PowerSports for your advice and hooking me up with a bigger battery. And for those of you who like the outdoors, make sure you check out the rest of our content. There's some great hunting and fishing videos already up. And as well, I mentioned earlier in this video, I'm going to be doing a little talk about water in the belt case here and the Polarises and what I did to correct that problem. If you're watching this video here now, there's already a little bit of a giveaway in it to what I did to fix it. But thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay safe out there this winter, everybody. Cheers. There's two battery options available from the factory for this. The trying to put the bolt in that holds the battery cables in place. Well, see, this is what I'm talking about. When you're trying to put those nuts in place to hold the battery cable in place and put the nut in place. So now I'm pushing the nut in. Hello.
Did you get my text?
No. Come around. Say hi. You're on a video.
I'm on video?
Yeah. You interrupted my video, so say hi.
Oh, hello, videos.
Yeah, no. So we're going to try this again now.